Swaminathan Subramaniam is asking that which international mutual fund have the lowest correlation with Indian equities and also offer reasonable safety and upside in the long term. I would say that all international funds have very low correlation with the Indian market, but some have substantially different, but simply because they are in a different, they're in a different geography with different dynamics, they tend to be very differently correlated. But now we find that a lot of the day-to-day movement in the market is governed by actions of investors globally. Something happens in the US and our market also catches up, or follows that trend. So in that sense, when there is a market decline, we see that markets decline all over the world. So in that sense, market movements might be related, but in a fundamental way, those companies are very different. So I would say that they are not related. And which fund will have reasonable safety and upside in the long term? Upside in the long term, yes, but reasonable safety, equity investments, just reminding you that what used to be hurriedly said on the television screen, that mutual funds or equity investments are subject to market risk. They're not subject to market risk. You can lose your capital. I think that is the right disclaimer, which should be that the money that you invest can go down in value, and your principal will be lower whenever you want to redeem it, is an imminent possibility. So that definitely prevails. But I would say that many of these international funds, the narrow, we have plenty to choose from in India, but the ones which we should focus on, or the ones which we have recommended so far, are only the US Opportunity Fund or the NASDAQ 100, 2-3 funds. Simply because, of course, they look like, they are US domiciled funds, so they look like US funds. But going by the underlying companies, characters or their markets, when you buy Apple, it may be an American company, but it has its market all over, and it's a very diversified business. Or when you look at Microsoft, Amazon, so the top 6 positions of the NASDAQ 100, which account for a substantial part of that index, they are global businesses. So I would say that that itself gets you reasonable safety. Real businesses making money and growing consistently, and still has sizable scalability. They can still scale up substantially. So they reasonable safety, no downside, there is no such investment, but I think they have substantial upside in the long run.